Ashen One, I have a kindness to ask of you. My lady lives in the cold land of Ariandel. I need you to show her flame. A proper flame that will burn the rot away. If you truly are ash, then it must be fire that you see.
Hello everyone, this is Brian from RPG Site, here looking at the newest Dark Souls 3 DLC, Ashes of Ariandel. This is just a simple video, just trying to show everyone where we can find all of the new weapons, armors, and spells that are located in this DLC. The DLC region is actually not too long, clocking in at about 4 hours if you're being methodical and completionist, so this shouldn't be too onerous to undertake, so let's get started. By warping to the Cleansing Chapel bonfire, you can find this new NPC who will initiate a dialogue with you and will be your launching point into the newest painted world. When you arrive in the painted world, you'll first meet up with your first NPC, and when you're done talking to him, you can head out into the new area and find your first bonfire, the Snowfield bonfire. And from here, let's get started going with the different items that you will find along the way. The first weapon is the follower Javelin. Just hug the right wall, past the first area, past a few wolves and the alive witch-like trees. A few followers at the top and it's at the end on his corpse. If you then head into the opposite direction, past a giant great wolf, which will attack you for a short bit, and continue on into an area that is covered with armored knights called Millwood Knights. In this area, you'll want to take out the enemies carefully one by one, because there is a knight in the tower ahead who will be firing great arrow shots at you, so you'll have to be careful to make sure that you don't over-engage before you're ready to climb the tower. In the tower, you'll find a pair of enemies, including one red-eyed archer that you can sneak up from behind and backstab if you are careful enough. And then there are 3 items of interest. You can find the Ethereal Oak Shield about halfway up the tower. You might have to drop down from the top to be able to access it. And then at the top of the tower, you will be able to find the Millwood Battle Axe, as well as the Captain's Ashes. Returning these Captain's Ashes to the Shrine Handmaiden back at Firelink will allow you to purchase the Millwood Armor Set. In addition to this, the Follower Armor Set is a simple drop from the many follower enemies that you will find in the area. Before heading up the steeper slope, heading out the exit of the tower, if you're left past a few wolves and the witch-like trees, there will be 2 more archer-wielding Millwood Knights that are guarding the Millwood Greatbow and some arrows to go with it. So make sure to run through here and pick those up before continuing on. Heading the other direction now and heading up the steep slope, you will see another encounter with a large great wolf, though if you just proceed forward, you don't really have to deal with him. Fall down the ledges after the avalanche falls out from under you, and head forward until you see the long bridge leading to the Ariandel Chapel. Also note that there's a cave right next to this side of the bridge that has the Rope Bridge Cave bonfire. Head across the bridge and you will encounter a couple more NPCs. A guarded NPC named Vilhelm at the entrance, and then Sister Frida near the bonfire inside. This is the Ariandel Chapel bonfire, which will be serving kind of as the primary bonfire for the DLC. Note, do be sure to talk to Sister Frida twice in order to receive the Chillbite Ring. If you head the opposite direction from where you fell after encountering the Great Wolf for a second time, you'll encounter a small rotted area to the left, which is home to a couple of the giant fly-type enemies. While disgusting, these enemies are not very difficult to take out, and they are guarding the Frozen Weapon Sorcery. After this, head back towards the chapel side of the bridge. Back on the chapel side of the bridge, you will find a ladder down. if you follow this one-way path, you'll end up in an area that is full of zombified Corvian enemies, which are kind of freaky, but very easy to take out. In this area, just keep following the path until you end up at the heart of the Corvian settlement. After following the one-way path through the rot up the ladder, in one of the very first buildings you'll encounter a Corvian NPC who doesn't really have much interesting to say. After that, you'll find the Corvian settlement bonfire in the next available building. From that bonfire, if you head out past the bridge, hold left, down onto another bridge, and follow the rocky paths towards the building above where you entered this area, you'll find an awning that overlooks the initial area where you first encountered the creatures. From here, you can leap onto the raised plateau to find the Crow Quills weapon. If you head the other direction, you'll find a large mob of the Corvian zombies, as well as one weaponized Corvian. Once you get past this area, you'll find a small path off to the right, past the walls of the building, taking out a few zombified Corvians, and then heading up a ladder. Once on the roof of the Corvian settlement, you can find a shortcut down, which will unlock one of the initial locked doors to allow you easy access back to the roofs. And then, past that point, you'll be able to head onto a roof with a spellcasting Corvian who is guarding the Crow Talons weapon. If you head back up the initial ladder to the rooftops and head the other direction, carefully taking out numerous numbers of the magical casting Corvians, you'll find another area where you can drop down into the second locked door that you initially encountered. Down here, while not a shortcut, will allow you to find the Slave Knight Armor Set, and then you can just take the initial shortcut back to the rooftops. Keep following the rooftops until you make your way towards the roof of the large church-like building at the end of the path. Here you can drop down through many of the ceiling openings onto the rafters to get a good vantage point over the two armored Corvians that are in this room. This can be a tricky fight in the closed space inside the room, so if necessary you can pull one out of the room and take it out and engage the enemies one at a time. Once both are taken care of, you can pick up the miracle in the middle of the room in order to get the Way of White Corona. Then make sure to open the gate leading back towards the heart of the settlement. Once you pass the required NPC mini-boss fight and pick up his drops, you'll encounter the Snowy Mountain Pass bonfire past the Painter NPC. Then you'll enter the area of the DLC that is probably the most maze-like, and this area is full of follower-type enemies. Luckily, most of the enemies here do not carry shields, so they are very easy to take out in large groups. I would suggest running through this area and kind of clearing out a general path before worrying about picking up any items that might be around. It is far easier just to clear the area and then explore once the mobs are empty, rather than try to look for the nooks and crannies while taking out the mobs one at a time. With the area clear, if you stay at the lower elevation of the maze and head towards the far cliffside and follow it along, you'll eventually find an area where you can drop down to pick up the Follower Shield. Then, if you keep heading up and stay near the cliffside, you'll find a couple wolf enemies, and then along a very similar cliffside path, you can follow it to the end to find the Follower Torch, guarded by a sleeping follower enemy. Now if you head towards inland, away from the cliffside, you'll eventually find a wider open area along with a rotted tree. You can push this tree down to create a shortcut back to the church where you fought the NPC, and then this shortcut can daisy chain with the lift inside of this building in order to give you a quick path back to this area from the field's bonfire. Then if you head away from this bridge and then look to your left, you can see an area where you can drop down along with some Millwood knights. And then in this area, if you head towards a cave in the back, you can find the Earthseeker weapon, I strongly suggest just running through here, picking it up, and then getting out before the knights can do much damage to you. Towards the end of this hillside maze, you'll have one more fork. If you hold left, you will find one more Millwood knight with red eyes and a great bow. He is guarding the Quakestone Hammer. Then head the other direction past the last two Millwood knights, knock down one more rotted tree, and head into the last main area of the DLC, a giant fly-infested crypt. Inside this crypt you'll find a few giant flies, but the key area to look is at the end of the left wall. You'll find an illusory wall that leads to the lower floor of the crypt. Here on the lower floor you're going to find a large number of the giant flies. While not individually dangerous, you will have to make sure that you do not bleed out due to their various spit and grapple attacks. So take your time to clear out many or all of the giant flies before looking to loot the area. In one of the corners of the room, you'll find the Vilhelm Armor Set. And then, more importantly, you'll find a crank near the center of the room that will unlock the door to the final boss of the DLC. Before continuing on, note that there is one more illusory wall down here on the lower floor. Find a brick-filled archway and hit it to reveal the wall, and find another outdoor area with roots. Follow these roots down to a lower arena, and you'll find the Pyromancer's Parting Flame item, as well as be invaded by Livid Pyromancer Donnell, who upon defeat will drop the Floating Chaos Pyromancy. Back on the upper floor of the giant fly-infested building, you will find one more spiral staircase that leads to a double set of doors which leads back to the Ariandel Chapel bonfire. Thus, this gives you a loop around back to where the final boss fight occurs. To access the last optional area of the DLC, simply cut down the rope bridge in front of the chapel, climb down, and make your way through the followers, making sure to land on the roof that contains one of the last weapons of Follower's Sabre. Once you reach the bottom, head over and activate the depths of the painting bonfire, then, facing away from the bonfire, take the path to the left. At the end of the path, you'll find one last group of the false trees, hiding the Snap Freeze sorcery. Finally, if you head the other direction, you will find a short drop into a large flower field, and this is where the optional boss of the DLC takes place. Upon defeat, this boss will drop his weapon along with the Champion's Bones, which unlock the DLC's new PvP mode, Undead Match. Well, that's everything, so I hope that this video helped you track down any of the items you were missing from the Ashes of Ariandel DLC for Dark Souls 3. As always, let us know if this video helped you, and check out RPGsite.com for the latest news, reviews, and previews of your favorite RPGs.